Welcome to another episode of the Matter Over Mind Experience. I'm your host, Master Trainer and Weight Management Expert, Narado Zico Powell. And today I have nutrition practitioner, Lori Balu. We have a lot of good stuff to talk about today. We're going to talk about menopause, weight loss, fat loss, and plateaus. And we have Lori has a bunch of good stuff that she's going to bring to you. I actually met Lori through Ray, someone else I interviewed on the show. Who if you did not heard that interview with Raywin, go ahead and check it out because we talk about so much good stuff. And Lori's gonna do the same. She's from that fantastic group of people that I know. So yes, you're gonna love this episode and stick around for it. And of course, we're gonna have a hack, right? And the hack's gonna be what are some of the top hacks for weight loss? So not a hack, but some good hacks for weight loss. So with that being said, let's welcome Laura to the show. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Zico. It's wonderful to talk with you today. I was outside doing some grounding, which is one of my hacks. So before the show, so I can't resist getting outside and just being barefoot.
Love it. And we're gonna get into some more wonderful stuff. So I can't wait. But before we do that, tell my audience a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, as you were saying, I'm a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. I'm a double certified functional health coach, and I'm help women in menopause lose weight to feel great and just age beautifully and adventurously by really resetting your metabolism and having a healthier life because of it. And the reason why I started this is because I used to weigh 225 pounds in my mid 30s, and I had all the pre-diabetic, the pre-diabetes issues. I had PCOS. I didn't even know what it is. The doctor never even told me what it was about. He just laughed and said, "Oh, you got PCOS." And then there was allergies and the asthma, and then with asthma you get the sinusitis and the bronchitis, and then with all of that there was depression and fatigue. And so one day in my mid 30s, I just came inside and my husband just asked me, when are you going to lose the weight? And he never even looked at me. So that was my catalyst. And that was when my weight loss journey started. And so it was just a roller coaster ride over the next 20 years of learning about diets, living the diets, and not getting the results. Sure, you can lose weight but you can never keep it off. So how could you keep the weight off? I could never figure that out. Well, I finally went to a Bulletproof conference, started Bulletproof Coffee. I met a 10-year brain cancer survivor who was a body type scientist. And he just like took one look at me as I was talking to him. I was talking to him after his talk. And he just said, you can't eat fruit. That was my body type. And I segued into keto that very day, felt very liberated and felt empowered to really change my life because I'd been paleo, I'd been on HCG, I've done all the things. I did every single diet. Nothing worked for somebody who is obese because you will just gain the weight back and continue to be sick. And so that's what started my passion for nutrition. I dropped 20 pounds, my brain turned back on, and I just started living again. I got excited about life. And so that's when I jumped into Adapt Functional Health Coaching with Chris Kresser's program and certified in that. And then immediately I'm like, well, I need more. So functional diagnostic nutrition during 2020, I just knocked that out the gate there and just really ramped myself up to understand what's going on and how I can live my life passionately by helping other people. And so I just started to build that business around that. So now I have a program helping women in menopause, my signature program. And it's not just about weight loss, but that's the pain point. So we're looking at weight loss, but it's overall is how can I get you healthy so you can lose weight? You have to be healthy to lose weight. And so that's the story that I started with. And it's just like I call it losing 20 years of my life trying to figure all this out. And so I love the idea that I can help women collapse time, get their life back on track now so they don't ever have to go through what I did and just be depressed for 20 years, sick and depressed.
It is tough. I was on Instagram and I saw a video from Ben Azadi. And
Yeah,
he said in his video, I love his videos, they're fantastic. And he said, you don't lose weight to get healthy. You get healthy to lose weight. And I'm like, that's so
exactly.
powerful, right? And because I have all these videos on my Instagram about these different hacks and these different things you can do, but none of that is going to work if you're not healthy. And that's extremely important for us to point out, and I'm glad that you brought that up as well. And with that being said, so with weight loss, and I kind of feel like you're going to talk about being healthy here, but where should most people start?
Well, the biggest thing, I was just talking to someone the other day, and she had company come over, and all they had was soda, and they had like chips and processed food. So if you could just cut out the soda, stop eating fast food, and ditch processed food, that's the biggest thing, because those are addictive food sources. We have to get off of the addictive foods and switch to real food. So that's, instead of jumping straight into a low carb keto diet, why not just clean up the diet and see what you could do to revamp your whole pantry and your lifestyle towards real food. It's not necessarily giving up the sugar at that point, but it's just having healthy food.
I love that because I hear, this stuff in this today's society. Is this good? Is that good? Like I've had people say to me, sugar is bad. I've had a doctor who say to me, sugar is bad. I said, no, 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 no. Sugar is not bad. The processed crap that we eat every day is bad. Complete different
Exactly.
thing. You cannot tell me that an apple is bad for me or a banana is bad for me. Now, there's things about blood types and all, so that's different, yes. But just in general, it's a fruit, a vegetable, how we eat it. Are you pairing your foods? Like all these things, right, are so important. But then we eat like a something, I don't know, Snickers or something, and we say, oh my gosh, sugar is bad. No, Snickers is bad for
This
you.
is bad.
A banana, depending on the scenario, may not be bad for you, and in some ways can definitely be good for you too. So I'm glad that you're trying to clean it up, even if that doesn't mean to say, you know what, I'm not going to eat processed foods, but just limit it. Look at your pantry. Do you have more fruits and vegetables, or do you have more crap? And that's the first place to start, right?
Exactly. Just making sure you're not eating refined processed food and just bringing in maybe some nuts and seeds and having those as your snack. I keep coconut and nuts and seeds in the cabinet. So when I want to have a snack, but and if you get rid of all the processed food, you eliminate a lot of that refined sugar and the refined wheat in the diet. And then you could go down to fruit only to sweeten things up. If you don't have to go cold turkey off of sugar, because it is a addictive food source and you can be miserable if you do it too fast. But go down to dates, go down to fruit. There's date syrup. You can get a little bit honey. I reacted to honey. So it kind of depends on how high your insulin levels are and if you have diabetes. So you have to kind of, decide what works for you and what doesn't work for you. But going down to fruit is an easy way to make lifestyle changes and not completely dump out. It's said to get down under 100 carbohydrates. So don't go as low as 50 if you're not ready to jump that far into a keto diet, but at least eliminate the 300 refined carbohydrates that most people get in their diet and get it under 100. And that's a really good place to start, just cleaning everything up.
Now that leads into my next question, because then we're going to talk about menopause. Because yes, we can say let's clean it up, and I, like myself, I've cleaned it up, and a lot of people clean it up, and it's worked great for them. But then there are women who are in menopause or going through menopause who it may not even work for them. They still may be struggling. So what are some things that make fat loss in menopause difficult?
Well, the problem with fat loss and menopause is women are at that period in time become more insulin resistant. And so it's almost like nature has a plan. We are hormonal beings and we run on a circadian rhythm. Our whole body is on a circadian rhythm and we work hormonally. And so what happens is we are no longer procreating, so therefore we shouldn't have all the calories in the diet. And I've heard that said before, and it's very enlightening because women in menopause no longer need those extra calories to build a baby. So at that point, we become more insulin resistant and we do not need them. And so we have to eat a lower carb diet to maintain a hormonal balance and to not gain weight. And then the other part, it's like the double whammy, I guess you could say, is at that point, your ovaries stop working. They don't create hormones anymore. And therefore, what happens is the adrenals have to take over. So if you're exhausted and your adrenals are exhausted from being rushing woman for the last 20 years and your cortisol levels have been sky high and you've been living there trying to do everything, all of a sudden you hit 50s because you've been through premenopause. And that's pretty much, that's a roller coaster ride. And so when you get to menopause, you're exhausted. And there's nothing left in the adrenals to give you that output. So that's why when you get that crash and it happens so suddenly, you just feel totally overwhelmed. You get hot flashes, you just start eating more, you're feeling exhausted. And because the adrenals are exhausted, and you're not getting hormone production and that insulin resistance from the food you're eating, it all kind of just comes into a big a big problem. It's a big problem. Insulin resistance is the biggest one. It just causes so much havoc.
So let me ask you this, because we're talking about insulin resistance, we talk about menopause and what could happen. But then you also mentioned earlier the keto diet, and we know that keto has a lot of health benefits, which I'd like for you to break some of that down. But I want you to kind of add into that in the sake of menopause, because I know it looks different for everyone, of course. So this is not direct advice to anyone, just be very specific. But can keto be beneficial for a woman who's going through menopause as well?
Yeah, actually, women do very well on a keto low carb diet because of the fact that they're naturally more insulin resistant. And so we don't have hormonal fluctuations. We don't have any hormones. We only make hormones to kind of keep us in balance from the adrenals. But it's the problem there is with keto, you can keep the insulin levels low. So keto is great for transitioning into menopause because since you need to have lower insulin levels to manage menopause. You have less symptoms of menopause when your insulin levels are low. And that way, keto keeps them low. It helps you train your body to be a fat burner so that you can manage your fat. And that's basically how I look at it. If you could get yourself out of being a sugar burner and into a fat burner, menopause is easier to manage because at that point you can get rid of the fat and store, you have less estrogen storage in inflammatory estrogen storage in the body when you lose weight in menopause. And so that's part of that is just learning how to manipulate the fat when we're in menopause, because fat is an endocrine organ and it's there. Its purpose is to grow. And so when you learn how to keep your insulin levels low in menopause and use keto as a tool, because it's an ancestral tool for us to control the fat, then at that point, you're getting all of the epigenetic SNPs, all of that process happening to actually keep your body running smoothly and healthily. That's why I like it.
So then someone hears this and say, "Oh, keto, I'm gonna have to eat, fat all the time, and I can't eat that much protein, and then it's the keto flu, and all this stuff." You've heard it before, I'm sure, in
Yeah.
your practice, right? So, what, what tips? Do you have any general tips to someone who's like starting off on keto, like ways to maybe prevent or lower the keto flu, or simple things they can do to help them to get into keto in the beginning?
Yeah, well, you want to stay hydrated. That's one of the big ones because a keto diet is a diuretic process. And what happens in the body when we're sugar burners, and the reason we're insulin resistant too, is there's just too much sugar in the body. And I like what Dr. Jason Fung says, diabetes is just too much sugar in the blood. And we just want to reduce the sugar in the blood. And so when we do that, then the body can actually process all the salt out of the body and so what you want to do to keep from having the keto flu is to add more salt. We need more salt. Our kidneys are very good at processing salt out of the body. So it doesn't matter if we're having salt at that point because sugar is usually what gums up that pathway and causes it to malfunction. So when we take sugar out, we bring back in the salt and you don't have to have the keto flu as much as basically balancing your electrolytes, bringing in the potassium, having bone broth, getting the collagen in there too so that you just feel good overall. But I do, targeted supplementation. You need magnesium. You need to feel good with magnesium. So I always recommend magnesium. And then my secret weapon is MCT oil, C8 MCT oil. Turn off the cravings, crank up the ketone production. And if you get that fat, and it's not like you're eating fat, you don't even notice that you just add this liquid MCT oil into your coffee. And you could do that 3 times a day, and you would be getting the fat you need to turn your body into producing ketones so that you could burn your body fat. And so that's the biggest hack right there is just staying hydrated, getting the sea salt, and having MCT oil.
I love that you said getting the sea salt, not just getting salt, because that's very important to note right there. And then staying hydrated. But the salt thing becomes tricky, right? Or because it's controversial. I have salt, I've had high blood pressure. That's why you need to speak to your medical professional and they'll just do what we're saying because you never know what could happen. But Really and truly, sodium can be really helpful for you if you're taking in the right type of sodium, and also if you're training and you're sweating, because that helps to eliminate some of it as well. But yeah, so and also the electrolyte, because sodium is an electrolyte, just like potassium and other electrolytes. And the biggest thing you can do, probably the two biggest things, in my opinion, to avoid the keto flu, is hydration and electrolytes. Those two together are extremely vital. And there's a whole science behind it I'm not going to break down right now, but together are very vital to help you to overcome the keto flu, so you don't feel like you're going to die before before you get into ketosis.
Yeah, because the process is going from a sugar burner to a fat burner. And so when you give your body more fat, it's going to do it faster. And when you're staying hydrated and getting those electrolytes, then you're not going to notice the keto flu as much. And if you haven't eaten a lot of processed food and you haven't got a lot of those chemicals in your body, it's going to be a little easier. But you may just have a headache and you may just fly right through it.
That's right. And the more metabolically flexible you are, the easier it may turn out to be as well. And that's another discussion for another day.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask you this though, because I know absolutely nothing about this, but I've seen it on your posts. And so I'm curious. Biooptimizers, right? Do you like it as a digestive formula or a digestive product? Why are you a fan of it for weight loss?
Well, the Capex is their fat loss digestive enzyme. And so it has 4 different lipases to actually help you break down all the fat that you're eating and help you break down the protein as well, because it's designed for fat and protein digestion. And so you break everything down into smaller, tiny fatty acids so that your body can absorb them rapidly. But what happens there is you're actually absorbing more of the protein, more of the fat, so you get more energy. So even that protein that you're eating, a lot of the times you don't break down the protein that you're eating and you're wasting it. So with Capex, you actually absorb 66% more of that protein. So you're wasting less protein that you're eating, and your body becomes more efficient at burning the fat and the protein when you take a digestive enzyme. But Capex specifically has those lipases to break that fat down. And it also is designed with L-carnitine to help burn the fatty acids in the mitochondria. And so, that's what's really cool about that. And then it even has um, some inulin, I mean, not inulin, it's Inuslim, which is going to help with boosting the fat loss in the fat cells and in the liver. And so we're going to regulate glucose metabolism. It's going to have better insulin sensitivity and help with thyroid management. So you don't want to take it past 2 o'clock because it really does ramp up energy. I usually take about 4 in the morning. Today I took 6 in the morning and I took 6 at lunch because I've been doing I'll have a 45-hour fast by the time we're done with this show. So I've been feeling really good, been getting myself into ketosis. So I use the Capex to really help drive this, because I don't do a water fast, I do a fat fast. But when I use the Capex, it helps me burn up all of that fat and really energize my cellular system. So it gives me more ATP production. But the best thing about that is this is going to break your weight loss plateau. It's going to help you get to the next level. You'll feel better, be more energized, create more ketones, because the liver is going to get more of those fatty acids broken down from this process. And I have a story where I actually took it past 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't remember what time I took it at, but I was so energized that night. I actually threw myself out of bed. It was just like, don't take it before bed. It's like, I will not take this before bed. It is just too energizing. And especially if you combine it with MCT oil. So if you do MCT oil in the morning with Capex, you're able to power through your intermittent fasting and push back your meals even longer so that you don't feel deprived. You just feel energized and get more into ketosis. And the other thing that I noticed with it, the biggest thing that I noticed about it, is I took it with their P308, which is their probiotic from Biooptimizers. And I also took their Masszymes in the evening, because the Capex is to be taken early during the day. I lost 15 pounds in 3 months. It just like busted through whatever biofilm I had in my gut. It just broke up all that protein. It works systemically in your blood too. So if you take it on an empty stomach, it's going to get in there and actually break down proteins in your blood system. So any type of digestive enzyme is really going to get in there and be a powerhouse. And you can use it with food or without food to really power up digestion and really start the digestive system. Because with a keto diet, it's all about making sure your digestion is focused functioning. So it's not just diet. You'll have to focus on digestion with your stomach, and you need to be able to break your food down. You need to be able to support the whole digestive system. And Capex really does do that. I mean, 15-pound weight loss in 3 months, every now and then you don't know what's going to just break that weight loss plateau, but this is one of the things that could work.
That sounds pretty interesting. And you say you had 4 types of lipase, is that
Yeah,
correct?
4 lipases. I didn't memorize which ones they are, but it does have 4 different lipases. It just really
That's
breaks up everything in the digestive tract.
so would you say using their digestive enzymes, would you recommend it for men as well? And
Oh,
also
yeah.
people who are
Yeah.
not going through menopause?
Yeah, it's actually going to help increase energy production overall and help, maximize digestion. So it's for women and men. I mean, the people who created it, Matt Gallant, he's one of the ones that was talking about how he would take it and it would just create so much energy in his body that it would just last for hours, like 8 hours, he said.
Follow-up question. Do you have any like a discount code or anything for my
I
audience could use?
do. I think it's Lori 10. But it is in my Instagram, under my Instagram, Lori Baloo. If you go there and there's a Capex there and you can see my discount code, I believe it's either Lori 10 or Lori Baloo, but I think it's Lori 10.
Perfect. So what we'll do is I'll put the actual discount code in the show notes so people can check out BioOptimize. I've heard a lot of good stuff about them
I
actually.
love this stuff.
I've never used it personally, but you're an expert. You've seen it work on yourself and with your clients. So I'll make sure that it's in the show notes so my audience can go out there and try it for themselves and so help. So thank you so much for sharing that, Lori. That was absolutely
Yeah, and the
fantastic.
trick with this is it's not inexpensive. So, it's not going to be a $20 bottle of supplements. It's a combination of different supplements all combined together with even some 7 keto DHEA. So the trick is to buy 6 bottles, invest in it, and they give you the best price. And so that way you can really experiment with it, take the max dosage, and really start seeing the results. I just had a client start using it, and she'd been stuck. And all of a sudden, weight's going down, and she's just feeling energized and optimistic now.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, Lori.
Yeah.
That was absolutely banging. I'm glad I finally interviewed someone who has used it on themselves and with their clients and know the science behind it and how it actually works. So thank you so much again. I'll make sure that her discount code is in the show notes, and I believe it's a 10% discount. Correct?
Yes.
Using your discount code. So thank you so much, everyone, for that. And with that being said, Lori, we're up to the hack of the episode,
All
right?
right.
And it's some tips. And the thing is, we're already talking about so many hacks already. So I want you to kind of put it in a nice little balloon for everybody. Some hacks for weight loss.
Okay. So I don't look at just one thing for weight loss. You could focus on diet, but if you don't get everything kind of like looking at the holistic lifestyle around getting the diet dialed in. And so the hacks that I have, it may seem simple, but of course, it's low carb, getting rid of the refined sugars. I've got a client who got rid of all the refined sugar, but just did a little bit of fruit and she still lost 30 pounds. But it's you do need to go gluten free. So it's sugar free, gluten free, low carb diet, because that's going to lower your insulin rates. You have to you lower your insulin rates. Yeah, lower the insulin to get the fat loss, to get that win. So, I mean, initially we want to be more strict so you get that quick win. And that way you get that body to reset your metabolism. Because if you want weight loss to be long term, you need to reset your metabolism. And the only way to do that is to really lower the insulin response in the body. And that's how our body was developed. That's what keto has been. It's been an ancestral process to burn the body fat when we needed energy and to store fat when we ate too much sugar so that we could survive winters. And so that is an ancestral process. It's not something that's new. It's not a fad. And then, of course, I had said, the CA-MCT oil, that's my secret weapon, helps you get rid of the cravings, helps you turn off hunger. When we are first starting a low carb diet and you have, obesity, the biggest problem is sugar addiction, food addiction, and having those cravings and the hunger. And it's like that's why people are afraid to start keto. It's because they think they're going to have all of those happening and they don't want to do it. And so it's like overwhelming. So that's why you use MCT oil, so that you don't feel that hunger and you could say no to sugar. You will not feel ravenous. And then, maximize your digestion. You really do need to add in that water and salt in the morning. As you can add in less salt to begin with and more salt as you start getting into keto. But if you start feeling leg cramps, add in more. But the other thing is the apple cider vinegar, because that's going to get in there and help you lower your insulin rate. It helps you feed the good bacteria, so that when you are nourishing your good bacteria with a prebiotic apple cider vinegar, then they're going to create more free fatty acids to help you actually burn more ketones. So this apple cider vinegar may be simple, but it really supports the body. And then of course the digestive enzyme, whether it's capex or another one, you want to be able to digest the fat you're eating. And and the salt and the apple cider vinegar are actually going to increase your stomach acid, because you have to increase the stomach acid to get the digestion to function. So if this is kind of a theme, you have to maximize digestion. If you don't maximize digestion, you might be able to start weight loss, but you're not going to get the full benefit, because 70% of the immune system is in the gut. And if you don't address gut health and stomach acid, then you may not be able to do a low carb keto diet, because you'll just assume you can't digest it or that it makes you sick. So all of this kind of works together to actually give you a smooth weight loss process where it becomes permanent. And then the other thing there is it's, getting rid of the vegetable oils, giving yourself an oil change. If you don't do this, you're not going to get rid of the inflammation. That's why I'm saying it's not just one thing. If you do not lower the inflammation in your body as well, then you're going to have higher cravings. You're going to crave those foods more, but it's going to keep inflammation in the body. It takes 2 years to purge half of the vegetable oils out of your cellular system. And we need to bring in the good fats to help keep our cellular system functioning. I mean, you have to think about these cells going through your blood vessels. Do you want squishy, soft moving cellular system, or do you want one that's crunchy and stiff? Vegetable oils make your cells crunchy and stiff, and they don't function, and everything gets kind of glycated. So when you're taking the sugar out, going grain-free, taking those vegetable oils out, and eating more whole foods at home, those are all the things that are going to work. But it's not just one thing. We have to kind of do all of that. I think I had one more. Oh, of course, time restricted eating and intermittent fasting. You have to really do this if you're obese, because it not only helps you burn fat faster, but it's something you can do long term, that you could even eat things that are a little bit higher carb once a week and still do intermittent fasting, and maybe not throw yourself out of ketosis because you're still in a small eating window. So time restricted eating is usually when you stop eating before like say stop eating by 8 o'clock at night, and then you don't eat again till 8 o'clock in the morning. That is a 12-hour window. So that is the bare minimum. Never eat within a 12-hour window. So you always want to push it out. So once you get used to that, then you want to do anywhere from a 14 to a 16-hour window. And then to just see how your body can do every now and then. You can always have a little bit of extra MCT oil, see if you can push it out a little bit more. And then that way you're going to get all that energy from ketone burning. You're going to be able to burn more fat, and it's going to feel easier over time and make it into a lifestyle. But when you do that, what happens is you're practicing epigenetics. You're letting your body get rid of all the dead proteins, all the dead cellular system. You could break up and burn up all the tumors and the cancer stuff that's there. Everybody has these cells in our body. They grow. They take 10 to 15 to 20 years to develop. But when you do intermittent fasting and time restricted eating, your body goes into cellular cleanup, and it gets rid of all the junk that's building up. And so you could have less disease, those diseases of aging, just by doing intermittent fasting and time restricted eating. And so that's why I look at all of this as a whole lifestyle management system. And then there's grounding. Can I go on with that one next?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Well, this is my favorite one, because don't just think of something as simple as grounding, being barefoot and getting out in the sunlight that's free isn't worthwhile. I lost 15 to 20 pounds last year. I got myself all the way down from, I was stuck at 145, 150. And then I got myself all the way down to 130. So I'm hovering around 130, 133 right now, just by grounding. That's the only thing I did different. I took myself outside I got morning sunlight in my eyes. I'm barefoot every day. I walk outside. I'm grounding all the time. And getting sunlight in your eye programs information into your body. It reduces your stress levels. It brings in serotonin naturally. I mean, it's not that we need drugs for anxiety and depression. What we need is sunlight in our eyes, full spectrum light with the red in our eyes to create a better balance in our body. I feel so much joy when I'm outside barefoot in sunlight. I would just, before this call, I was just outside running my little backyard 4 times, just jogging because I'm like, okay, it's sunny outside. I feel great and I'm barefoot. And so I just did that. But that is the biggest one because we have to get stress under control. And when you get your stress levels under control and put yourself into that circadian rhythm with the time restricted eating, this kind of all goes together. What you're doing is promoting sleep. When you're promoting sleep, you're getting more detoxification. You're getting your brain to cleanse itself in the glymphatic system. We need all of the deep sleep, the REM sleep, good quality sleep, but we also have to reduce the stress. And sleep starts first thing in the morning when you get morning sunlight in your eyes. And it needs to be that red morning sunlight. So I pop my glasses off. They're on top of my head. I'm out there. I take my coffee with me. I go and I get my sun walk every single day. And so all of these things together, I look at that along with targeted supplementation. It's not just change your diet, it's lifestyle management.
And lifestyle management, I mean, I know that was a lot of information, but really when you boil down to it, we're talking about epigenetics, right? So we're talking
Yes.
about improving your sleep quality. How you improve your sleep quality? Getting red light in the morning, getting adequate sunlight in the morning to reset your circadian rhythm. Make sure that at night you're not exposed to blue light. And if you are, pop one of those. I have my blue light blocking glasses for nighttime. I have my daytime ones. I have my nighttime ones that I have from Swanwick, right? So, you know, that's one good way to do that, but also still minimize light. If I'm going to read, I prefer a hard copy than a tablet, especially if I'm going to read at night, right? To minimize that light. My red light is the only light on for me once the sun goes down in the evenings is my red light. You can get a cheap red light from TheraBulb, really. That's like $60-$70. You don't always have to spend that $2,000 on a panel, you know, but there are little things like that you can do. And then grounding, like you said. One thing I want to add to that with the sunlight. Sunlight actually interacts with our fat cells and can shrink white fatty
Yep.
tissue. So that's also something that's very important as well. And then also there's sweating, all things that happen when you go out in the sun, and all these fantastic things you talked about. If you didn't hear it, go back and listen to everything that Laura just shared. I think it was absolutely fantastic and can really help you to begin your journey, or if you think you're at a plateau, or if you are at a plateau, break through that plateau. And with that being said, Lori, let my audience know, how can they get in touch with you, learn more about your fantastic work?
Yeah, you could find me on Instagram at Lori Baloo Weight Loss and on Facebook at Lori Baloo Aging Adventurously. I'm out there and my website is loribaloo.com.
Excellent. And I'll make the show notes, zecahealth.com/Lori Blue. And blue, it's spelled BALUE. Does everybody know
Yeah,
that,
like
right?
Baloo Bear.
Exactly. And Lori was kind of upset with me. She's like, "You've never seen that before?" It's like, I grew up in Jamaica. I've never seen that there, but I did grow up with some American cable, but apparently I didn't get everything. But yeah, the show notes are going to be zecahealth.com/Laura Blue, and the show notes are going to be in the description of the episode. So you can click on there and learn more about Laura's fantastic work. Thank you so much. We talk about so many great things that I think it really be beneficial. And listen to the tips and the hacks that Laura gave and the additions that I gave. It could really help you in your health and weight management journey. And with that being said, we're out for today.